Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to the PITT Football Game Day postgame. So I'm Mason Sapesky, your host. I know that, hang on, let me get out of this on my computer real quick. I know that we were hoping this episode would be a celebration this morning. However, like I predicted last night, it would not be a celebration. So I, as you probably remember from the pregame, was one of the few that did pick Virginia Tech to win. Virginia Tech ended up winning last night 38-21, ending any or all bowl eligibility hopes that Pitt had going into this season. Bowl eligibility is now highly to very unlikely to impossible for the Pitt Panthers this year. This all happens as our rivals, the West Virginia Mountaineers, went into Fort Worth, Texas, and stunned the defending national runner-up TCU Horned Frogs and the Penn State Nittany Lions, who struggled at first in the first half. I was shocked by that. But they did pull away in the second half and did very well in their win over Northwestern. Pitt is now 1-4 and is almost certain to be the only team in this area that does not go to a bowl game this year. This is pathetic in more than one ways. First off, as we all know, and I'm going to try to keep this so short and sweet today. I'm not going to try to ramble on because after this, I have to go right to getting ready for my Steelers game day pregame. So they played 1 o'clock today against the Texans, and that's a little more optimistic. But I'm not going to ramble on just repeating the same old things. I'm just going to say one thing, and I kind of thought about this last night when I was in bed or sleeping, but I thought instead of if Phil Jurkovec was the quarterback of this team, what if Kenny Pickett was the quarterback of this team? Let's go back and let's look through the schedule, and I'll tell you which games they would have won if Pickett instead of Jurkovec were the quarterback. Week 1, they would have won, obviously. Week 2, I don't know. It would have been closer, but I still think Cincinnati would have won the game. Week 3, they definitely would have won if Kenny Pickett were a quarterback. Week 4, I don't think they would have won if Kenny Pickett were a quarterback. Actually, yeah, they might have won Week 2. They might have won Week 2, but I'm not sure on that one. Week 4 was a definite no. Carolina's just very good. Drake May, I hate to say this, Pitt fans and Steeler fans, but Drake May is going to be better in the NFL than Kenny Pickett, I believe, and we will see for sure who would win that battle when whoever drafts Drake May plays the Steelers in the coming years. But I don't think Pitt wins that game, regardless of if Kenny's in there. Week 5, I do think we win last night if Kenny Pickett were the quarterback, and here's why. I think, though, that I think even if we're at home in Acrisure, we win this game. The outcome wasn't as lopsided as one would think. There were some things I really liked from Phil Jurkovec last night. And while we're still on this topic of Kenny Pickett, if he were the quarterback, I don't think this team would be much better if he was the starting quarterback. I think this roster, there's issues with this roster. Unfortunately. I hate to say it, but I just do. And I think it's sad. I think it's really sad for these guys that every time somebody on the opposing team commits a big play, somebody from Pitt is down. That's a problem. I get it. Injuries are going to happen. But every time there's a big running play or a first down play, there is an injury. Isn't that crazy? How is the question? What is going on? Why are we so injured on every running play? And that's part of the problem with Phil Jurkovec. Sorry, I was just changing my computer because the NFL game between Atlanta and Jacksonville are starting, but here's the deal, though. Like Narduzzi said, and I know look, I'm just going to set the record straight. This is a team game. Everybody related with this team is at fault some way or another for this performance. If I was with the Pitt football team, I would technically be at fault for this performance. Because everybody, unless you're injured, unless you were one of the guys that did not play in that game last night or have not played as of late because you're injured, you are at fault for this. Now, maybe Christian Valu, Nate Yarnell, or any other backup, I don't know if they're at fault for this because they didn't even see the playing field last night. So, yeah, maybe they're not. But everybody that played in that game, everybody that coached that game, everybody that worked on preparing for this game, and most of the people in the staff, except for if you're filming the team doing dances for TikTok, is at fault. So I hate to put the blame on one specific person. But Narduzzi was right when he said one thing. Phil is not getting enough time. He is right. Phil is not getting enough time. That's not Phil's fault. That's the O-line's fault. And last night on the ACC network, they showed like a little gambling was seen, like one of those things that, like, you know, in a casino, like how they have like 5 things and how you pick 5 things to do the mathsing and all that, and they like go back and forth. And they just showed it. The offensive line for Pitt is so much different than it was in the Wofford game. There are so many injuries on that O-line. That's a problem. How to solve it? I don't know. But Phil Jurkovec, he didn't do bad last night. I give him credit for taking sacks when he saw nobody open instead of risking an interception. That was good. I give him credit for the beautiful Josh Allen style touchdown pass to Bob Memes. That was awesome. I don't give him credit, though, for the 66-yard screen to Sibbo Fleminster. He just dumped it off to him. Sibbo did the rest. Sibbo had a nice day. Good for him. And then that defensive touchdown was awesome. However, this is ridiculous. I mean, one win against an FCS team that won 3 games in the freaking FCS last year? We can't even be Marshall. Because Virginia Tech lost to them. We probably can't even beat Bowling Green. This team will get annihilated. If you put Penn State up right now, or I'm sorry, not Penn State. I was confused there. If you put Pitt right now up against Ohio University, which is a sorry, I got some mucus stuck. Which is a MAC school in Athens, Ohio. Ohio. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to diss on Ohio's football team at all. It's actually a very good football team. It's very talented. It's probably going to win the MAC this year. If you put Pitt up against Ohio University, they would win. And again, I'm not trying to diss on the school. It's a very good academic and athletic university. There's so many good people that went to Ohio University, and I know so many people that go to Ohio University, and they're all very good people. So I'm not trying to put a college down by any means. However, this school is in the MAC. Pitt is in the ACC. The ACC is one of the new Power 4 conferences. At least for now, until it gets dissolved, because everybody's going to be selfish and merge into their own little conference, and Pitt will not have a home because they're not very good in football. Unbelievable. But point is, this is a MAC school. This is an ACC school. If Bowling Green beats Georgia Tech, Ohio University annihilates Pitt. We're supposed to be one of the better teams in college football. We just won the ACC championship 2 years ago. And now look at this. We go from Kenny Payne. We lost Jordan Addison, who is now a stud on an 0-3 team, Minnesota Vikings team. We lost a stud wide receiver to the transfer portal because we couldn't pay him. There's not enough money and resources in this program. Seriously. How are other city schools? Like, let's look at the top 25. Let's look at the AP top 25. Sorry, I'm just following this football game. This is the old one. Let's look at this. How is Washington? I know it's a state school. It's just like kind of like Penn State, but it's in the middle of Seattle. How are they able to get people with NIL? Oh, it's not that. It's coaching. Kalen DeBoer is one of the best coaches in college football. Duke. This school was 3-9 2 years ago. How are they? Very good. Coaching. Mike Elko. Very good guy. It's really all the city schools. I'm eager to see if they make a bottom 25. Because if they made a bottom 25, Pitt would easily be the number one team, because this is the worst Power 5 team in the country. I don't even know if they could beat Stanford. I don't even know if they can beat the top FCS teams. And that's sad. See what we were 2 years ago and become this. Narduzzi last night in his post-game presser, he did say he'd look and reevaluate changes and stuff on the offense for sure, but he needs to be more involved in the offense. I mean, if he spends 85% of his time with the defense and we allow that, sorry to burp again, 38 points. Come on now. Something has to give. This season is over. Pitt's season will end on November the 25th once they get annihilated by Duke. However, it's time to start preparing for August 31st. I think that's the day. Yeah, August 31st, 2024. When this Pitt football team returns. And they better be ready for the 2024 season. And they better, unless there's somebody very good, make sure Christian Valou is the quarterback. He did not look good at all in the game against UNC last week. But now that we're 1-4, now that this season's over, it's time to groom him so that next year he is ready. I would give him chances. I'd give Nate Arnold chances. If one of them let you like a lot and one of them does good, that's to be your quarterback in 2024. However, if they don't do good, maybe it's time to give Julian Duggar, he's a senior now, Penn Hills High School in Penn Hills, which is right outside of Pittsburgh. Maybe he should be our starting quarterback next year. I like him a lot. Done good things. Can't wait to see what he does at Pitt. And I hope he gets the chance. Because this is not good. I don't know what the futures for Pat Narduzzi or Frank Cignetti Jr. hold. They're extremely good people. They've done a lot for Pitt. I mean, you have to give Narduzzi credit where credit's due. He did win an ACC championship. And you can't take that away from him. However, there are teams in the NFL, and by no means am I endorsing a coaching change. There are teams in the NFL that years after either competing in the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl, part ways with a head coach. It's a tough thing to do, and it's very hard to do. But you have to look at what's best for the program. And regardless of if Heather Lyke stays or heads to Columbus, then I don't know. There's not a lot of stability right now. There's just a lot of unknowns in regard to this program and athletic department as a whole. If Heverlake does leave for Columbus, who knows what'll happen with the football program? If Coach does leave for East Lansing, Michigan, who knows what'll happen to the football program? The funny thing is, and I hate to bring up these radical scenarios, or because we don't know what's going to happen. If C leaves and he stays, what will the new athletic director decide? If C stays and he leaves, what will Hever decide about the next football coach? It's very interesting, to say the least. We don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if Narduzzi didn't start preparing for next year and just stuck it out with Phil. Because he doesn't know if he's going to be here. He might have a strong desire to go back to the place he was a defensive coordinator. He might really want to be the head coach of Michigan State football. And I'm not saying he does. But if it were up to me, and you probably will criticize me, as you guys all know, though, I am Michigan sports fan for sure, but I do prefer Michigan over Michigan State. But if it were up to me, I would take that Michigan State job in a heartbeat. I would take that Ohio State job in a heartbeat. The Big Ten is, and I know I'm a Pitt fan, but I'm just going to say this straight up to be honest. The Big Ten is my favorite conference in college sports. The Midwest is my favorite part of the country. Those are two of the best jobs in college sports, if not sports as a whole. I don't blame any of them for taking them. They'd probably both be better off for taking those jobs. But it's us that will, as Pitt fans, that will suffer the consequences and have to deal with a rebuild. However, this rebuild does not have to happen. This rebuild doesn't have to happen. Let's look at some programs. I know I pick on these programs a lot. While I have the laptop open, I want to pick on these. So we're going to do a case study here on 5 programs. And I know I said I'm not going to try to keep everybody along, but I don't know. Oh, I don't want the Washington football team. It was funny that I was trying to get the, spoiler alert, I was trying to get the Washington Huskies football team, but it gave me the NFL Washington football team because they were still named the Washington football team before they became the Commanders. Sorry, my grandma was talking up there. Sorry, we're almost there. All right, we should be. Sorry about that. We're just trying. We have a dog here, so interesting times. All right, we're going to look at a couple programs now. These are teams that made coaching changes. The 2021 USC Trojans. 4-8. The 2021 Washington Huskies, also 4-8. 2021 TCU Horned Frogs, 5-7. 2021 Duke Blue Devils, 3-9. Okay, so all those schools made coaching changes. Let's look at where they are today within 2 years. And this is just for if Nardu. I don't think he should be fired. I don't think he should be fired, but this is just in case he takes that Lansing job. Proof that Pitt football might not have to rebuild after all. Okay, so USC. 2023 USC Trojans, they're 5-0. 2023 Washington Huskies are 5-0. And last year's TCU Horned Frogs, as we all know, was the national runner-up. And this year's 2023 Blue Devils under Mike Elko. 4-1, lost a close one last night, unfortunately, to Notre Dame. This is proof that we don't have to rebuild if he leaves for Michigan State. So yeah, we still have a future. It's one bad year, so don't worry. However, if he doesn't get that job and Narduzzi stays, this is also proof that we don't have to rebuild. The 2021 Florida State Seminoles, 5-7. Look at the 2023 Florida State Seminoles, 4-0, possible playoff team. Kept the coach, kept everything. 22 WVU football team, 5-7. This year, 4-1, and we'll be in a bowl game. So yeah, this team does not need to rebuild. And if it does need to rebuild, it could happen quickly. Let's take it for what it is. It's one bad year. Next year will be here soon enough. And no matter what happens with Heverly and Pat Narduzzi this offseason, it'll be time to turn the corner and hope for a better tomorrow. This season's over. Time to move on. And it's time to turn the page to a better and brighter future for the Pitt Panthers football team. The one thing I would do right now is give Christian Valu, Nate Yarnell, and all underclassmen, particularly sophomores and juniors, a lot of playing time the rest of the way. Especially those sophomores. Because they are your future. You need to see what you have for next year so we don't have another year like this ever again. This should not be the standard, and this will not be the standard. One last thing to hear before we go. Obviously, we look ahead to the opponent for the next game. Next week coming up, thankfully, is the bye week for Pitt football. They're in desperate need of that bye week, and they're going to need to evaluate a lot over that bye week. So, yeah. But after that, we come home to the Louisville Cardinals on Saturday, October the 14th. The Cardinals are currently undefeated. However, that is probably going to change next week because they have a home game against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but definitely interesting for sure. Louisville has wins this year over Georgia Tech, Murray State, Indiana, Boston College, NC State. It's going to be a tough climb, but it's definitely going to be a winnable game. It'll be so interesting to see what happens over the bye week, and it'll be interesting to see how the Pitt Panthers prepare for Louisville, led by, I think his name's Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom, yeah. Jeff Brom, he was the former head coach at Purdue, made the Big Ten championship last year with Aiden O'Connell, Charlie Jones, built up a good football program there. Now he's taken his talents to the University of Louisville, and we'll get to see him and see what he could do on Saturday, October the 14th, when our Pitt Panthers look to bounce back after their bye week and defeat the Louisville Cardinals. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you on October 14th for the Louisville Cardinals. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Enjoy your bye week. And as always, peace. See you in 2.